As a kid, I loved puzzles. I loved working out how each piece fit in order to create the whole picture. I would spend hours sitting, thinking, and piecing together different puzzles and admire my work once they were completed. As a pre-service teacher, I have realised that developing my English teaching practice is kind of like creating a puzzle, except you've somehow lost the box that shows what the picture is meant to look like. I visualise this end picture to show my teaching practice and persona. So, what do we normally do when we start a puzzle? You find your corners. I think in teaching, corners consist of your students, your pedagogy and content knowledge, your planning and organisation, as well as your staff room and whole school setting. All of these things will influence the puzzle picture showing my teaching practice. However, these things are subject to change. For example, we will trial different teaching styles or change our classroom rules to suit the particular blend of students in front of us, or sometimes we will even change schools. This will change the puzzle picture along with one's teaching practice. I think it's normal, if not necessary, for these things to constantly change and evolve as one becomes more skilled and knowledgeable. As a beginning English teacher, I have had 3 main experiences that have shaped my 4 corners of my teaching practice during my English practicum. Firstly, the students I taught challenged me to develop my professional knowledge and understanding about teaching English, as well as just teaching in general. At times, my students were difficult to control and often hard to engage in English. During my first week of teaching, I found that many strategies that my male supervisor employed, such as yelling in a strong manly voice, didn't really work for me. Being a young female pre-service teacher, the students often did not see me as an authoritative figure. This is when I realised that being an English teacher isn't 100% about content and learning. Before you even try to teach content, you need to build a strong rapport and relationship with your students. You need to know them and not just their name. Once you do, learning becomes a lot easier and the students start to trust you more. So I started to find out a bit more about my students and take an interest in them. I tried to show them how much I did care through any means possible. Normally, this happened through positive reinforcement and high expectations, where I'd remind students what they were capable of, and they would rise to the occasion beautifully. During this moment on placement, I was able to vastly improve my professional knowledge about teaching. 2 corners of my puzzle, my understanding of my students and the pedagogical approaches I needed to teach them, started to come together with this realisation. Secondly, I learned a lot about professional practice during my English placement. For example, in one teaching moment, I realised that no matter how well you plan a lesson, no matter how much detail you include, it may never flesh out the way you had hoped. You could plan the most engaging, interesting, and informative lesson and review it 20 times before you present it, only to have a lockdown happen and disrupt your lesson entirely. You never know how the students themselves are going to take in your lesson either. I think that you need to accept that sometimes things don't go to plan in the classroom, and that's okay. You will always have tomorrow. Through this moment, I learnt how important it is to be flexible and how important it is to leave room in unit plans for the unknown and unplanned. The corner involving planning and organisation started to take form. There was only one corner left to construct. The more I taught, the more I realised how important professional engagement in relation to fellow staff members is. With a positive staff room, a beginning English teacher like myself is able to ask for advice and feedback in order to try and improve teaching practices and strategies. During my practicum, many teachers, both graduate and experienced, offered me advice on an array of issues. I found it really helpful to bounce around ideas and ask for advice. It was also great to share stories about classes or to listen to other teachers' experiences and the way in which they dealt with things. My final corner in my puzzle, for now, was built. I believe that the whole picture of my puzzle will be completed with time and experience. I might change some corner pieces to suit my students or make changes to my practice or to my environment. But with time, I expect to truly find my English teaching practices and persona. I'm curious to see what the puzzle will end up looking like. Hopefully, it will show a confident, proficient, and qualified English teacher who absolutely loves their job.